Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. We all know that as Jews, we have the collective name Yehudim, which is named after the tribe of Judah. But the question is, there were 12 tribes of Israel. Why do we specifically carry the name Yehudim for the tribe of Judah? And one of the answers relates to this week's Torah portion. This week's Torah portion is Vayigash, which has the climatical story of Joseph breaking down, overcome with emotions, crying and saying, I am Joseph, is my father still alive? Ani Yosef ha'od avichai. And this is the story of the reunification of Joseph and his brothers, and ultimately, later in this week's Torah portion, Jacob seeing his son Joseph for the first time in 22 years after he thought he was already dead. And the question is, what led to Joseph's revealing his identity? And it's the opening words of this week's Torah portion. You see, originally Joseph insisted, the viceroy insisted, that they bring Benjamin. And Jacob was very reluctant to send Benjamin because he had already lost Joseph, the other son of his beloved wife Rachel, and he was afraid to let Benjamin go to Egypt. But it was Judah who stood up and said, Anochi ervenu, I will take personal responsibility for Benjamin. Miyadi tivakshenu, from my hand you will claim him. I will be responsible. And only then did Jacob give Benjamin over to Judah to take him to Egypt, to go procure more food for the family. But we all know what happened at the end of yesterday's Torah portion. Joseph, the viceroy of Egypt, planted the royal goblet in the backpack of Benjamin and accused him of stealing it. And now the brothers are brought back to Egypt, and the viceroy says, you can go home, but Benjamin must remain a slave in Egypt because he stole my cup. And how does this week's Torah portion begin? Vayigash elav Yehuda. Judah steps forward and he confronts the viceroy of Egypt, the powerful prime minister of Egypt. And he says, look, I have an elderly father, and he already lost a son, and he cannot bear to lose another son. And he says, I cannot go back to my father without Benjamin. So therefore, he says, let Benjamin go home with the brothers, and I will remain a slave in the place of my brother. When Joseph sees the love of Judah to Benjamin and the dedication, unlike what happened to him 22 years ago that they sold him, he's overcome with emotion and he breaks down crying and he says, I am Joseph, is my father still alive? And therefore our rabbis say, the most essential quality of being a Jew is Yehuda, Judah, Yehudim, we're Jews, because the sign, the characteristic that distinguishes us, or that is exclusive, unique to the Jewish people, is our unwavering commitment, devotion, and love for one another. Like Judah, Yehuda, we stand up and we say, we are responsible for one another. Kol Yisrael, all Jews, arevim zelazeh. And this is something we've seen during this tragic war since October 7th. We've seen so much unity and devotion and love amongst the Jewish people, that Jews around the world, it's been reported that in the first month since October 7th, over $1 billion was raised by diaspora Jewry for Israel. That's the love, that's the commitment. And yesterday I told a story that the women of the shul are leading, Dini is leading a delegation of women next Sunday to go to Israel for the week to spread love and joy and unity and bring help to our brothers and sisters in Israel. And I mentioned in the sermon that we got a call from a family friend who said there's a boy in the community who's supposed to have a bar mitzvah scheduled on Monday, December 24th. But his father was tragically killed on October 7th. And the boy said, even though he comes from a religious family, he said, I don't want to have a bar mitzvah. My father can't be at my bar mitzvah, I don't want to have one. And the boy said, I will not have a bar mitzvah. And everyone tried to convince him, to no avail. And a very famous singer in Israel, Hanan Ben Ari, said to him, I'll take you to the kotel, you'll put on your tefillin, I'll sing at your bar mitzvah. And he said, no, I will not have a bar mitzvah. If my father can't be there, I don't want to have a bar mitzvah. And tragically, his father was killed. So Dini told his family friend, go speak to this boy and tell him that a group of women are coming from Palm Beach. And what we want to do is take his whole class on a trip, sponsor a trip for them, for his friends, on the day of his bar mitzvah. And then when he comes home at night, have a party, just a dinner for him and his friends. And the boy agreed to do that. And the women of the shul, Dini and a small delegation, will go and sponsor bar mitzvah for this boy. And after the services, a group of women came over to me in the Kiddush and said, Rabbi, we want to send a bar mitzvah present for this boy. And they started talking about what would be the most appropriate bar mitzvah present to send to this boy. And I said to myself, this is the Jewish people. This is the greatness of the Jewish people. People on the other side of the world, 6,000 miles away, don't even know this boy's name, never met him. But our hearts are with him, our love is with him, our support is for him. We are ready to do whatever we can to love this boy, to help him heal from the tragic loss of his father. And this is the name Yehudah from the word Judah, because Judah stands up and says, I take responsibility for my brothers. I will not allow my brother to be taken into captivity. Let us continue with that strength of unity until we ultimately see the victory of Israel, and no longer shall it be necessary to have war, but we will have peace and unity. Have a wonderful day.